Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's gentle beginner class. Come to your mat, to an easy seat, maybe on the block, to elevate the hips slightly if that feels better. And before we begin, I'm going to start my watch. Before we begin, today's class theme is about opening to the world. So if you want to set an intention, feel free to do so. And if I can have a suggestion, it might be a good idea to set the intention to let open what wants to open and let it be as it is what cannot or just doesn't want to open. So just respect the body and while you're working with it and working on it, try to see and find the boundaries and don't push overly over those boundaries. So you're not hurting yourself, it's not hurting your body, but still finding those edges where you can still open it and connect it to the word, but keep it as it is at the same time and keep it for yourself and keep it healthy. That's it. And then once you find your seat, maybe make any more little movements what you need. Place your hands on the knees or maybe in front of your lap and close your eyes for a few minutes. And maybe for the first time today, realize your breath. Observe it as it flows freely in and out of your body. And maybe just wander around your breath, your breathing, realizing as many little details as you can realize. The depth of your breath, the quality of your breathing, the direction of where this breath goes, the temperature of it, whatever you can realize, whatever you can notice around your breath. Then take a long, deep inhale all the way to the belly. So let the belly come up and then sigh it out through your mouth. Take another deep breath down to the belly. Let your belly move. And now as you exhale through your mouth, try to slow it down. Make it longer. One more deep inhale. And as you sigh out, try to make it as long as possible. Slowing down the breath. One more time, long, deep inhale. And an even longer exhale through the mouth. Then as you take the next inhale, try to have the same long exhale through your nostrils this time. Slowing down the breath. Slowing down your heart rate with it. And maybe for today's practice, intentionally try to keep this breath steady and slow, with really long, deep inhales and even longer, slow exhales. Open your eyes whenever you're ready. If you had a block, move it aside. Come to over 4 for 1 second. Maybe opening your knees slightly wider and touching the big toes together. Then push your hips down, walk your hands forward, coming to a giant pose as a start. Moving your forehead into the ground. If your forehead cannot touch the ground, feel free to use a block under it to elevate the floor. And if your body wants to move in child's pose, let it move. Maybe you feel the urge to move your hips around, or to sink deeper after a few breaths. And maybe you can rock your head from side to side, touching your right temple on the ground and rolling it back to the forehead, and then rolling it to the other side so your temple can touch the ground. Gently warming up the neck. Then push your hands on the floor and then slowly roll back up to a tabletop position. Walking the knees back under the hips, hip distance apart. Releasing the toes so the top of the feet are flat on the ground. Moving your hands under the shoulders, spreading the fingers wide. And let's continue warming up and awakening the body by some gentle cats and flat cows. Inhale to look up, drop the belly, come into a cow pose. Exhale to move the belly button in, arching the spine upward, releasing the neck, giving your spine a good stretch, and then as you move back with your inhale, giving the front of the body a good stretch. Moving with your breath. Already finding those edges, and then can you stretch a bit more? Inhale to look up, moving the belly down, stretching the front of the body. Exhale to move the belly button in, curving the spine upward, maybe stretching slightly more. And then the next time when you are in cat, at the exhale, drop your hips down to a child's pose. Maybe have an extra breath here. And then as you next inhale, push the body up and then forward into your hands, coming to somewhere between a cobra and an outward facing dog. Then as you exhale, move the belly button in. Let your hips come down to your heels into child's pose. Inhale to curve and let your spine ripple to a back bend once you arrive forward. Exhale, Pushing it back to child's pose. Inhale, ripple it forward as a wave. Dropping your hips and then let your spine curve to a back bend. Keep moving from child's pose to a back bend. And eventually, once you arrive back to another child's pose, maybe walk your knees further apart and sink it back, releasing your forehead down on the ground. And that's going to be a good opportunity to move your hands up. Maybe give some rolls to your wrists or a push to the other direction, easing down the tension. What could build up by now on your wrists? Keeping the breath flowing slowly and steady. Making any small movements while the body suggests. And slowly push back again to a tabletop. Adjust your knees. Adjust your hands to be under your shoulders. Then we're gonna lift up the right hand to the sky, twisting to the right, and then threading it under the other arm. Moving the right shoulder down to the mat. Moving the right side of your face down to the mat. And feel free to stay here. Or you can lift up your left hand, coming into a more open twist, or even bind behind, touching the top of your thighs with your fingertips. If you had a bind, slowly start to make your way back, and then hands in front of the face, and pushing through your fingers, coming back to tabletop position. Adjust your hands, check on your knees. And then we're moving to the other side. So lifting up the left hand to the sky, twisting to the left, and then let it thread under your right arm. Moving your left shoulder and the left side of the face to the mat. Option to stay here, or lifting the right hand, maybe binding it behind you, touching the top of your thighs with your fingertips. Keep the breath flowing steady and slowly. If you had a bind, slowly start to make your way back. And then hands coming in front of the face, pushing on your fingertips and palms, coming back to tabletop. Check your knees to be under your hips and the hand under your shoulder. If it's too much on the wrist, you can always drop down on the forearm, on your elbows. And we're gonna lift up the right knee, making some gentle circles, warming up the hips to one direction, kind of in a way like the dog peas, like male dog peas on the street. And then changing the direction. Coming back to the tabletop. And again, if it's too much on the wrist, you can come down on your elbows. Just bear in mind to have your elbows under the shoulders. Then we're moving to the other side, lifting up the left knee, and then having some circles with your hips, moving the knee in small, little like a bowl shape around, and then changing the direction, opening them to the side and then behind and down. And placing it down on the mat one more time. Pushing back to a child's pose. Feel free to open the knees as much as you need it. And you can also bring your hands on your arms on your sides, top of the hands resting on the mat. And just for a few breaths, really relax down your body. Then bringing your hands up, if you have them on the side. Coming back to a tabletop, curving the toes, tucking them under you. And with your next exhale, bring your belly button in, lifting the knees up, straightening them, coming for a downward facing dog. Move it, walking that dog, pedaling the feet, or maybe stretching to your sides. Then we're going to cross the right leg over in front of the left, moving it to the side of the mat, and crossing the left over the right, moving it to the side, and slowly crossing the legs, walking forward to the front of the mat to your hands. Then once you arrive, bring them together or hip distance apart, and let your knees bend as much as you need. Let your upper body become really heavy. Let your head relax down. And then the same way as you come, just plant your palms down on the mat, bringing your right leg behind the left, bringing your left feet behind, crossing on the right, moving the feet back to a downward facing dog, and then eventually you will arrive back to the downward dog. Once you are done, maybe pedaling the feet a bit more, stretching on the sides, then eventually pushing down on both heels. With the next inhale, lifting up the right leg, even just slightly, and then bringing the knee forward, close to the nose, then moving it on the side and down, heading into a pigeon. If you have block on hand, maybe you want to prop it under your hips. And untuck the back toes. And feel free to bend the front knee as much as you need. Maybe by over time, you can move the feet forward to more parallel. But today we are finding these edges. And one option is to stay up here, working on some movements maybe. Finding some really gentle stretch inside your hips. If that makes it easier to observe and recognize what the body needs, you can close your eyes. Or another option can be to come on your forearms and elbows. Relaxing it a bit more. And if you feel that you need more stretch, you can always pivot the foot forward. But that's the intention in the beginning of the class. Stay safe and stay unhurt. If you put down your elbows, time to bring yourself up. Tucking the back toes under, lifting up the knees. The knee moving some weight to the arms. And then you can slide the leg back and pushing the hips high up. Few breaths in another downward facing dog. And then pushing down the heels. Inhale to lift up the left leg. Exhale, moving the knee forward, bringing the knee behind the right hand, toes behind the left, knee, left knee behind the left hand, and the toes are coming behind the right hand. And you can also use a block again, untucking the toes, making any movements. And option is, again, to move down on your elbows and forearms. Make any small movements, or maybe find the edge. Stay there. And just steady and slow your breath. If you choose to come down, bring yourself back to the palms. Tucking the back toes under, lifting up the knee, putting some weight on the hands so you can step back to a downward facing dog. Mini challenge: if you had a block, try to move it without coming out of the pose. And we're gonna walk forward the same way, but this time starting with the left, crossing over the right leg. Then the right crossing over front of the left. One by one, step by step, coming closer to the hands. And then eventually arriving feet together or hip distance apart, knees bend, hands gently pressing down on the mat. And here you can try another little experiment by straightening one knee at a time and pushing the hips out on the side. And then switching side. Very gently stretching the back of the legs. Or if that feels comfortable, when you straighten your right knee, you can also lift your right hand, coming into a mini twist. Then bringing it back, straightening the left leg, lifting up the left hand. Twisting to the sides. Here we go. And then once you had a few foot twists or a few straightenings, next inhale, Lifting up halfway, sliding the hands on your shin. All fine. Go, yeah. Then as you exhale, let it calm down again. And then very slowly with a few breaths, start to curve up. Maybe it takes more than 1 or 2. But when you arrive, that comes up last. And bring the shoulders up to the ears for a breath. And then as you exhale, release them and move them back. Here we go, we arrived in mountain pose. Next inhale, lifting the hands up. Moving to a mini sun salute. Exhale, body comes down, bending the knees, folding forward. Inhale, lifting up halfway. And then as you exhale and come back down, step back with your right leg. Moving the knee down to the ground, toes untucked. Moving the right hand next to the left foot. And then bring up the left hand with your next inhale, coming to a twist. Exhale to release, bringing the toes and the knees back. Then step forward with the leg, coming back to a forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, release, folding down. Next inhale, arms are coming up. And we're going to fall down straight away. Back with the exhale. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, folding down. And stepping back with the left leg this time. Releasing the knee down, coming to a low lunge. Releasing the toes. Bringing the left hand next to the right foot. And inhale to lift the right arm up, coming to a twist. Exhale, release. Bringing the toes under, knees lift. And shoot the flag forward, coming back to a forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, releasing. Bending the knees. Bringing the arms and the upper body up with the inhale and the exhale. You're gonna move folding down again. Inhale to half lift. Exhale, folding down, planting the hands and stepping back again with the right leg. This time, keep your knees up. Maybe pivoting the feet slightly wider. And as you exhale, lifting up the body, coming to a high lunge. Breathe here. And then the next exhale, twisting to one side. Inhale, coming back to center. Then exhale, twisting to the other side, keeping the hips forward. Inhale, back to center. And then with control, calming down, hands on the ground. Then step forward, coming to a forward fold. Catch your breath here. Next, inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale, body comes up, arms are following. And exhale, folding forward, down again. Inhale, halfway lift. Straightening the spine, lengthening the neck. Exhale to release, folding down, stepping back the left leg. Keeping the knee up this time. Finding your balance, maybe pivoting the front foot so you can have a wider stance. And when you're ready, next inhale, bringing the body up. Catch your breath here. because with the next exhale, we're going to twist to the side. Inhale, moving back to center. Exhale, twisting to the other side. Inhale, back to center, then with control, coming down forward, hands on the mat, and then stepping the leg back forward, folding down, releasing the leg. Have an extra breath here. Next inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale to release, plant the palms down, and we're going to step back with both legs, plank position for a breath, then drop your knees, coming to a tabletop position. Then all forward in front of your chest or on the side if you need more space. Bring the right leg forward. Bring it to the inside of your left hand, or rather the outside of the left hand, coming to a lizard. So your left, switch. So we're on the right side and your leg's supposed to be on the outside of the right hand. And directions failure again. Anyway, we're in the lizard. And feel free to move it. Maybe rocking it very slowly forward and backward, or rocking the hips from side to side. Or if that feels better, find that edge, find that limit. Keep it there. Keep your breath really slow and steady. And maybe over a few breaths, push over that little edge. Really few tiny movements. Then bringing a little bit weight back on the back leg, sliding the leg back to a tabletop, and come to a child's pose for a few breaths. Feel free to keep the knees closed or open if that feels all right. It's your body to listen to. And slowly pushing back to tabletop. And this time, we're gonna move the left knee forward or between the hands or around on your side and bringing it to the outer side of your left hand. Yay! Bringing some weight on it, bringing some weight on the front foot. Options again to move it, maybe from side to side or forward and backward, or to bring yourself to the edge of the stretch and stay there, bringing some deep, slow breath and even slower exhales. And let it open as much as it can open. And then bring some weight to the back leg so you can move the front leg back to a tabletop and then pushing down to the child's pose. Relaxing the forehead down on the mat
And if you feel that your wrist needs some time, feel free to bring your hands back and over, stretching your wrists or maybe doing some circles. But for today, we are done putting more weight on the wrist. Coming back to the tabletop and then swoosh your legs to a seated, bringing them forward. And instead of using a block today, if you usually use a block, this time consider to bend the knees slightly, creating the same effect so your hips can, your pelvic can tilt forward again without a block. But the toes are still pointing upward to the ceiling, and you can move your hands slightly on the side and behind, coming to Dandasana, bringing some energy and focus at your pelvic floor to lift it up, bringing some focus and energy to your under your belly button to bring it in, and then bringing some focus on the chest and chin to make them moving closer together. So the chin bends down slightly while the back of your head is still pushing back, and your chest lifts up very slightly to get closer to the chin. Next, inhale, lifting up the arms, reaching for the sky. As you exhale, move forward. Then maybe grabbing on your toes, or if you still have your knees bent, you can thread your arms under the knees and coming to a full bend. So releasing the head, lengthening the back of your neck, while you're keeping your toes pulled back and up. Toes are still waving and looking at the ceiling. I'm going to release your hands. If you have the hold on your legs, start to curve up. If you were reaching for your toes, reach even further. And then bring your body up. Then bending the right knee close to the chest, moving it to the side. Coming to Janu Shirshasana, inhale to bring the arms up. Twist slightly on the left. And then reach for your left toes. Maybe you can't reach them, then just simply plant them on your leg, maybe around the shin, the calves, around the ankles. Eventually, at one point, you will arrive to grab the toes, grab the foot. Lengthening the back of your neck. Reaching further with the crown of the head. Next, inhale, reach even more with your fingers before you come up. And this time, we're gonna, oops, I'm turning on the side. We're gonna straighten the right knee to the side. So you're coming into a very small straddle, seated straddle. Then bringing your right hand next to the right hip, lifting up the left hand, and then bending the elbow, maybe pivoting your hand more on the side, coming to a side stretch. Doesn't really matter how far we go down, you go down.
The more important thing is to keep the chest and the shoulders open for a few breaths here. And then from here, let your body come down to this, reaching for the right toes, bringing the chest and the shoulders parallel to the ground as much as possible. If you have to walk it higher, feel free to do it. Maybe even up here, that's just perfectly fine. Keep the same way, lengthening the back of the neck, moving the crown of the head to direction of your toes. And then from here, walking the hands to the midline, coming into a middle forward fold. Feel free to release the hold in your spine. Or if you want to make it a bit more painful, playful, not painful, playful. As you inhale, you can straighten the spine. As you exhale, you can fold it down, moving with your breath, making some small ripples, some small waves. Inhale to lengthen and straighten. Exhale to fold and release. Then slowly walking the hands to the left leg, coming up as much as you need it. Bringing the shoulders and the chest parallel to the ground as much as you can, making your way maybe deeper after you arrive, or keeping it as it is, finding those edges. And a good way to find and to maintain the edges is to listen and observe your breath. If you feel that you can't breathe fully, usually that means that you're too far on the other side of the edge. If you can maintain a good, steady and slowly flow of your breath, it means that you're still working in your limits. And slowly walking the body up, bring the left hand on the side of your left hip, lifting up the right arm, and then from there, keeping your chest open and the shoulders open, bending on your elbows, coming to a good side stretch. Reaching to the end, to the corner of the room. Then the next inhale brings you up, and then we're gonna bend the left knee, moving the left sole of the left feet, so to the inner side of the right leg. If you're off the mat, feel free to adjust and find your way back to the front. Then bringing your arms up with the next inhale. Exhale, folding down, Janu Shirshasana on the other side. And lengthening the back of your neck. Finding those edges. And then slowly, pain-free, making your way maybe slightly over the edge. Or pushing, rather pushing those limits.
Next, inhale, reaching your hands forwards and coming back up. Then bringing your left knee back up and then stretching in the front. Bring the right knee in, crossing your feet to the outer edge of the left knee. One option to stay here, or you can bend the left knee as well, bringing your heel close to your hips. Planting your right hand behind you, lifting up the left, twisting to the side first, to the right side, and then release the hand, maybe bringing your elbows to the inner side of your knee, or bringing your arm around the knee, giving it a small hug. Inhale to uncurve, coming back to the center, straightening the left leg if you have it bent, moving the leg back and down, switching sides, so bringing the left knee close to the chest, putting the foot on the outside of the right knee, and maybe one option is to stay here, or you can bend the knee, moving the heel close to the glutes, bringing the left arm behind. Inhale to lift the right arm, and as you exhale, twist first, then moving your arms down, maybe elbow coming in front of the knee, or you give your knee a gentle stretch with your arms, gentle hug with your arms. Next, inhale, curls you back to the center, straightening the right leg, moving the left to the other side, then bringing both knees close to the chest, and then release your knees on the side. And we're going to do just one version of Baddha Konasana, so feel free to choose one option to keep the heels closer, and then fold and bend forward with a straight spine, keeping the elbow the inner side of the thigh, keeping your hands on the legs, maybe giving it a small massage, or if you want to relax deeper, bringing your feet slightly further from your hips, and then reaching your head, the top of the head, close to the feet, maybe even bringing the arms around the legs, and relax down. Whichever option you choose, keep lengthening the back of your neck, so you're not crunching the back of your neck. And slowly uncurve, whichever you choose, bringing the knees together. Check if you have enough space behind you, and slowly with control, come down on your back, bringing the knees close to the chest, and both knees moving together. Give yourself a small spine massage. Changing direction. Then bringing your knees to the side. Option to stay here, working on the opening of the hip. Or you can slide down the hands on your leg, grabbing your the sole of your feet and then lifting up to happy baby. If that feels too much, you can work on half happy baby, lifting up one leg, then bringing it back, and then lifting the other leg to be parallel, other sole of the feet to be parallel of the ceiling or the sky. Whichever version you're working on, maybe if you feel that your bum and lower back is coming up, that can be a good indication that you're going too fast, too deep into the posture. Maybe just step back and try half happy baby if that's the case. And if you're a full happy baby, feel free to move it, maybe rocking from side to side, or whatever option feels good on the body. Take the next inhale, and then as you exhale, bring your feet together, sliding the hands back to the knees, and then slowly closing them. Bringing your hands to the side. If you have not enough space, feel free to move it to cactus arm, or maybe moving the arms over your head. And then drop your knees to the right side, looking over the left. If the knees are not going all the way down to the mat, they can always just hover around. Or if you have a block in hand, you can place one block under them to elevate the floor. You can also close your eyes and just focus on the breath and the gentle twist of your spine. Next, inhale, coming back to center, staying there for a breath or two, maybe even moving your knees slightly, until you have that moment when your spine is back to its normal way. And then moving it to the left. Looking over your right hand side. And if you need, again, feel free to block it up slightly. Finding those edges, those small limits. And then maybe over time we go slow and easy, steady breath. Move past the edge. Inhale, coming back to center, moving your hands down. Again, give yourself a little time, few breaths, maybe some movements. So your spine is getting back to its normal. Then for the last pose, you can stay in the first step, so bringing the legs down, bringing the feet down, sorry. Knees are still bent, and moving the knees to the side, coming to a laying down supine Baddha Konasana, butterflying the legs. If that feels already too much on the hips, you can grab a block to a book cushion to bring it under your knees, or if you have nothing around and don't want to move, You can have your fist at the base of your thighs to have a little hold here. And if you want to come deeper into a back bend and chest opener, you can bring the block or cushion under your shoulder blades. Have a chest opening here and then relax. Release your hands on the side. And then continue on the pose. Again, if that feels too much on the hips and there's screaming pain, you can move those hands at the base of your thighs. Have a gentle support here, or a few blocks and cushions to prop up your knees. Then once you settle, close your eyes here. We're going to spend another minute before we head into Shavasana. And slowly bringing the hands on around the knees. Help them to close. Maybe even doing some windscreen wiping. If you're not using the block, you can bring your knees close to the chest, curving to the tiny block ball. If you're using the block, you can just roll off the block to one side, and for there, come into a small ball for a few seconds. Maybe moving the block away if you can. And then uncurl and let your body melt down. Maybe, bringing a cover, an extra jumper, extra socks, or whatever you need to, relaxed and comfortable in Shavasana. And once you have what you need, bring yourself into a nice, relaxed state. Maybe taking some long, deep inhales and sighing out through your mouth, as we did in the beginning of the class. If that feels what you need this time, then let your breath come naturally again, without any control. Let your body parts melting down on the floor, losing the hold, losing the tension, losing any action. And if you feel that your mind's wandering around, simply observe what comes and then let it go. Maybe by bringing your awareness back to the breathing or back to the physical sensations in the body. Feel free to stay in Shavasana if you need any longer, or if you're ready to get out of our last posture, start to deepen the breath, bubbling some fingers and toes, and gradually make every movement bigger until you can reach your arms overhead to have a nice long stretch of your full body. Then curve yourself into a small, tiny ball, moving to one side, maybe resting there for a breath or two before you push yourself up to a comfortable seated, and by keeping your eyes closed, bringing your palms in front of the heart. And take a deep, long inhale and bow your head as you breathe out, thanking your body for the great practice